Welcome to Brainstorm9000.
You got a brain? Your brain wants to listen to this podcast.
So open your brain.
Loaded. Okay. Tell her no joke. Tell her no joke. Tell her no joke. Ooh, who you go provoking? Ooh, yeah, I got that notion. Oh, girl, you know I'm hopeless. Ooh, yeah, I love to joke it. Ooh, yeah, my mind is choking up with all these thoughts. So I'm going so crazy like the Joker. What you thought? What you thought, girl? Tell me what you thought. What your thoughts like? I can fix them out. Ooh, we can sort them out. And what we talking about? The Joker today. Now don't do crimes with the Joker face on. Hey, don't do crazy things with Joker face on. But if you play the Joker card, go and hear my song. Yeah, if you hear the Joker card, go and hear my song. Hear my song. Brains of the internet.
Hello. Hello, the brains of the internet or not. Maybe someone in a totally distant and other than our galaxy is still listening to us.
Possibly.
And maybe this is going to be the program that is going to make them want to leave the hell out of our planet and just leave us alone. Possible?
Are we kicking on like aliens or just humans that they're going to get out of our planet?
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody, okay.
So, hi everybody. Today is a very special and unusual day for two reasons. First of all, we've never spoken about a movie. Movies is not something we talk about usually, right?
I guess not. I'm trying to think, but I don't think ever, no.
And we never gave our wizard, Whitnell, a chance to talk. Hi, Whitnell.
Hey.
So, out of the three of us, because we also have, as people probably already have figured out, Hermes, who just sang a song.
Good, guys.
You are the expert on comic books, right?
You're the expert today.
I guess I am.
So I suggested that we do a special program about a movie which is called The Joker, or Joker. We still don't know how is it called, The Joker or just Joker.
We defer to Whit Money over here. What does Whit now say?
I think the movie is called The Joker.
Right.
No, the movie is called Joker. You can refer to him as The Joker.
All right.
Or
So
The Joker.
can you explain to at least me and the rest of our audience who probably are not as keen on comic books what the movie is all about?
Well, the movie is basically the origin of the villain, the Joker, from the Batman series.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a prequel, right?
Yeah, it's a prequel.
Right.
Yes, I like prequel.
Prequel.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Prequel.
So I remember that when we were recording the last time, we kind of spoke about it a little bit, and you said that it's very accurate if you compare it to the original comic book.
Well, I actually talked to some people, and there is like a little bit of backstory to the Joker from like the different kind of movies. There's a lot of stories to the Joker.
Right.
Like
Spoilers ahead. I know we didn't drop that, but yes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Major spoilers. Everything's getting ruined right now.
Right.
Got that out the way.
I know the original Batman with Jack Nicholson as Joker.
Right.
He became Joker by falling in acid, and that's how his face became white. That's
Really?
like one version. Yeah.
Right.
So there's like bad versions of like how the Joker became the Joker, but in this version, he was just basically mentally ill, and he worked as a clown, and that's how he got the infatuation of having makeup on his face and like the red eyes, whatever it is.
The Joker look.
Yeah, like the Joker look.
Joker.
What I liked about the movie is like a lot of the mannerisms that were in the comics that kind of went unnoticed that the movie like did. So like his random dancing every time he did like a cynical thing,
Right.
was kind of like cool to me because that's not it's like a minor detail that made the Joker feel like how the Joker felt when I was younger. So like him being psychotic and dancing while he like killed somebody is cool. And in the movie, it showed him struggling with accepting the fact that he was, that he was different by like him feeling like it was okay to do something something so bad that everybody kind of thought was bad, but he liked it.
Right.
Like I think he said in the movie, like I'm tired of everybody. I'm tired of feeling bad for something that I like to do, he said I like killing those three guys. I think he said something like that.
So you feel sympathetic to a killer just because
No.
if he kills somebody, it makes him feel good?
No, I didn't feel sympathetic to him at all. I just liked the villain.
It was just a positive villain story.
I didn't feel sympathetic to him. It was just like, oh, this is the Joker, and like now I see that this is like the story of how he became crazy. He tried not to be crazy. Then he was just like, F it, the world is crazy. I'm gonna be crazy too. So yeah.
Since you know the backstory, I was actually like meaning to ask somebody who like had grown up with like Batman. They had put the twist in the movie that like as if the Joker's origin also is tied into like Bruce's parents being killed, but like that is just this specific version of the story. Like that doesn't actually happen in like the original Batman story. It's not like the Joker causes a mob that kills Bruce Wayne's father.
Not that I remember.
Yeah, I think they definitely like just tied that in together. For the sake of it
to be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be based off like a variation comic. Most of the time, these things are.
Well, plus there were people involved in writing the script.
Yeah, of course. It's like I feel like everybody just with these things, like you have an established character, but people like make it their own kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this version, I liked how it all looped together.
I actually can tell you that one of the things that I talk about to my friends is that who are you supposed to be able to write scripts for movies like that? Or like Jumanji or Terminator or Star Wars. Like what kind of a crazy mind you should have? Or what were you on when you were writing this stuff? Like people drop acid to write these things? Do you ever think about it? Like how people come up with this stuff?
I don't put it past people.
I mean, once upon a time, before I decided to just go full time with the God stuff,
right?
I went to film school, and in our writing classes, they would always encourage us just to listen to people and watch people. Like that used to be in our assignments for class, like all of our writing classes. So you can learn to write different kinds of people. Like just because you're a guy doesn't mean you can't write it from a perspective of a woman. But if you want it to be a good story about a woman, you better talk to a lot of women. You better watch a lot of women. Like, that was always our professor's like mentality. Like you have to learn.
I'm pretty sure you appreciated that part.
Oh yeah, no, that's the research I've been doing for the past 6 years is for the movie I'm writing about. Women.
Only 6 years.
Yeah, no, before that, it was a good.
So you might be,
yeah, it was a good
like
boy.
18 years old, yeah.
But yeah. So I feel like it just opening your mind up to a different person's point of view, and just a lot of people watching. Like I feel like people I know who are writers are generally like weirdos. Like they're the kind of people who will just like sit in a subway station or sit in a park for a long time and watch people, because I feel like where
that's how they get their inspiration.
Because that's where the real stuff I feel like comes from. Like the little things, you know what I mean? That like how do people like write that into a movie? It's like they generally just watch people do that in real life and would just throw it into a script where it makes sense.
Well, I also thought that good actors also add a lot to a character. Because how you can possibly explain to Phoenix how he should move or make sounds? That is probably his doing. So he comes and improvises, and then a good director, I'm guessing, says, yes, that's what I was looking for. No?
Some combo.
Probably like that. Or the director, like, pre-coaches him. Like a good director would tell the actor what is needed to make a great film, and a good actor will deliver what the good director wants. It's almost like a producer and an artist. Like a producer knows what the song needs, and a good artist is gonna have like his delivery to do it.
Right.
That's how I see it.
It's a collaboration, but it could like
Yeah.
go very different ways in terms
Right.
of how collaborative it is versus
Right.
like you just directing and an actor just listening, or the other way around, where actor's a diva. And a
Well,
director's
since
a diva.
this movie is kind of Halloweenish, let's put it this way,
Mhm.
what immediately comes to my mind is the Thriller, because it's, I personally think, the best song of all times. I love it.
It's a pretty good song.
And
It's up
of
there.
course, I remember the video, and I'm pretty sure that although it was directed very well, Michael Jackson added a lot to it by just being Michael Jackson,
Mhm, definitely.
right? Without Michael Jackson, it wouldn't have happened,
It wouldn't have the same effect with
Right.
probably anybody else. Then
right?
just be like a cheesy like zombie film that we make fun of.
You think so? I actually saw on Instagram somebody do that for Halloween, like a reenactment of Thriller,
Right.
and I thought it was really good. I don't know, like I thought just it was really good. Like that's it. I didn't think like, oh, this is a good spin off Michael Jackson's Thriller. I just thought the whole video was like good because they did some of Michael Jackson's dances, but they did like dancing that is like modern.
Right.
So it just felt like 2009ish. I think it's by Blame It on Quay. It's like that guy that acts like a gay guy, like a guy. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, but
Oh, he has like his personality like
Yeah.
on social media.
Yeah,
But he's not actually. Yeah, I got you.
and he did it, and I thought it was good. So it just makes me question, like, if it was somebody else that did it and not Michael Jackson, would it still be as good? Like, I don't know. It was a good idea. I don't know. It
Well,
could have been so good.
with the Joker in the previous Batman movie, I think right before it, right? There was an
Which
amazing
one?
performance
Oh, The Dark Knight. Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
Heath Ledger. Yeah.
who eventually killed himself.
Yeah.
Right. Have you seen it?
The Dark Knight, of course, is one of my favorite.
Was it
movies.
good? The Joker was good?
Oh yeah, incredible. You haven't seen The Dark Knight? Because I was
No,
actually going to
now
ask you.
I'm going
like,
to. No, I have.
Definitely, we need to like talk about like which like Nels, like which do you think is a better Joker performance
Yes.
between the two?
I,
And you can count Jack Nicholson too, like all Jokers that you've seen.
I think this one was better than Heath Ledger, and I think the Heath Ledger Jokers was legendary. Like the way he performed it, it was the best to his time.
Right.
But the way, and I think Heath Ledger himself brought that out of him, the Joker, right?
Mhm.
But the way the whole movie was surrounded by this Joker, I like this Joker better. But I think it was more of a collaborative effort than just being Heath Ledger.
Yeah,
I think Heath Ledger just killed that
Right.
by accident. Not by accident. He knew he was gonna do it, but I don't think like everybody else knew it was gonna be like that. You know,
Right.
like I don't think people knew he was just gonna come crazy. And he brought like a real cynical, dark aspect to the Joker, which the Joker isn't. You know, because the Joker makes jokes. He's a clown. You know,
Right.
like literally, the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker wasn't a clown. He kind of was just like a dark guy that dressed up as a clown, but he wasn't like a clown. Like you didn't find him funny because you know the whole thing with clowns being scary is because they're not supposed to be scary. Just like if you saw a kid, like you know what's that movie, The Ring? It's like a little girl. It makes it
coming
scary.
out the TV screen.
Yeah, because it's scary because it's a little girl. That's something that's supposed to be harmless.
Right.
So like clowns are supposed to be scary because they're supposed to be harmless. I didn't get that aspect from Heath Ledger, which I did from this Joker, which is why I like it better than Heath Ledger.
Meaning this Joker is harmless compared to Heath Ledger?
He tried to be a clown,
Right.
and like his personality was more clown-like, but was still cynical. And Heath Ledger's Joker, he was just dark and cynical. Like he didn't try to be. Like, I guess he did try to be a clown, but I think this Joker was just more of that. Like, you actually saw him try to perform at a kid's play and had a gun. That was so crazy. That was so funny.
With the gun in the hospital. Yeah, that was
Because the Jokers, right? He always had a gun and it said bang. Like it was
when you
always a
pull
joke.
the trigger.
Right.
Yes,
And when he brought the gun,
yeah.
when he brought the gun to the children, it was a hospital.
Yeah, it was a children's
Yes.
hospital. Yeah.
When he brought the gun to the children's hospital, they said, "Why would you have a gun?" And he said, "Because it's a prop."
Part of
Right.
the act.
You know what I mean? And the Joker always had a gun that said "bang" as an act.
Yeah.
Same thing with the flower
Yeah.
that's for water. Like he was always
Right.
trying to perform as a clown. You didn't see any of that with Heath Ledger's with The Dark Knight. You didn't see any of that.
Well, I can tell you that what was stunning to me when I was watching the movie is that in the first minute or less, I realized that on the screen, I'm watching an actual severely mentally ill person. So the acting was so good that I didn't get a feeling that an actor is trying to act as a mental patient. For example, remember there was a movie where Brad Pitt plays a crazy guy with Bruce Willis. It's a movie. Bruce Willis travels in time.
I don't know that one. Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis?
Yeah, together in the same movie.
I've never
Never.
Whatever number of monkeys, it's something monkeys. 7 monkeys, 13 monkeys, 10 monkeys.
7 monkeys?
No, like
Sorry,
the
Brad
name
Pitt
of the
and Bruce
movie
Willis.
is yeah.
It sounds like a dream you had.
So no. It is a bona fide movie. And in that movie, Brad Pitt plays a mentally ill person, but you can tell that it's a very good actor playing a severely mentally ill person. Here, I just saw in front of me a mental patient. And, as a psychiatrist, I've seen quite a bit. The acting was unbelievable. And the actor himself is not mentally ill. He's a successful actor. He's certainly not a schizophrenic. So, but everybody knows I'm from Moscow originally. So what's amazing to me that people in other countries where Batman, although have been seen by people, but is not a part of the culture, took this movie extremely personally and started making connections between this particular movie and, for example, in Russia, life in Russia today and how much it means. You should have seen very large, very heated discussions on Facebook, for example, or what people say on the radio about this movie. They love it. It's very popular there because they find that it draws parallels to their life. And you were saying that Gotham is the city which is kind of communist?
Communist?
No.
I don't know.
No,
I just know Gotham was a crazy city.
It's supposed to be New York. It's like the comic book version.
Is it really?
Right.
No, it is definitely 100%.
But okay, well, anyway, I
Yeah?
guess.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a fictional version of New York, like set within that like world of Batman.
But dictatorship happens inside of this town, correct?
No, it's supposed to be a barricade town.
Yeah, it has a governor. Oh, it has a mayor. It has
Yeah,
a mayor and a
it's a mayor.
governor. Yeah.
Has a mayor who is like a regular mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really supposed to just be New York. Like there's
Really?
no trick around it.
And who is the Joker supposed to be? If we compare him to whoever people are in New York.
Seems like the Russian guy. I don't know. According to you.
So, did any of you feel that this movie has a special message that people have to process, that it has a deeper meaning than what you saw on the screen? Does it have like undercurrents and yes?
Oh, definitely 100%.
Like what?
Well, clearly there's like the I think why people are so inspired by it, or like you're seeing like people have a connection, even places like Russia where it's
Right.
like not necessarily of the culture, is because like the social, like,
In Chile
political-
also, people who are now rioting, some of them dress like a Joker.
with the Joker mask.
Yes.
And I think that's the biggest thing.
No,
So-
in his entire red costume, actually.
yeah, the movie just kind of reminds me of V for Vendetta.
Right.
The similar concept of
Yeah,
having
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's his name's Guy Fawkes or something. I don't know. From V for Vendetta, maybe one of our listeners know like whatever that guy's name, which is a famous British person who I guess in the 1600s, 1700s tried to blow up the British Parliament or something.
Right.
So now when you see people, even like Anonymous, the hackers group, or other people
In
try
a
to
mask? Yeah.
yeah, they wear that same mask all the time, but
Yes.
really, I feel like that got reintroduced back into the public through that
Right.
movie
Right.
versus like actually the historical event. Because
Right.
people remember that movie and it stuck with them for a long time.
Right.
So I feel like this is that for a new generation where like people kind of see the underdog against the rich masses. Because I think just a lot of people just realize that they'll probably never end up being rich in their lifetime. And I feel like the strong undercurrent of this movie is it's like in the movie you see that the guy is crazy and you see he's like dealing with his specific mental issues.
Right.
But people, outside of him who don't actually understand what his specific life is like are able to take their own issues and like use him as a hero, you know what I mean, to redeem themselves, and like everybody throws on the mask because of it. So I feel like it's kind of saying something about like kind of how people find a hero, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because it's funny, like I don't know, like when Money was saying that he didn't sympathize with the Joker, whereas like I felt myself like I completely sympathized with the Joker, and I feel like a lot of people who I talked to who saw the movie feel the same way. Like I'm rooting for him. Like I feel like he
is that what sympathy? That's not what sympathy is, though, is it?
Yeah, it's like you sympathy is where you don't personally like have that experience, but like you can like see eye to eye with somebody else, even though you yourself aren't that way.
Then in that case, yeah, I did sympathize with him.
So he channels a lot of people's concerns.
Yeah. Or rage, more than concerns. It's more so like people are pissed off, and he's the guy who let them express that. You know what I mean? Even though he himself is what we call, quote unquote, mentally unstable, crazy.
He's not, quote unquote. I mean, the character is apparently mentally ill. Right.
See, I watch the movie and feel the opposite way. I feel like the way his character arc to me proves the opposite. Like it's just like everybody's crazy. It's just like the way you're gonna choose to look at it that way or this way.
You're talking about the Joker?
Yeah, like I see it like the opposite way. I feel like it's a story about the fact that like society can fail a person versus that one person has some kind of failing in their own mental brain.
That's fire. I like that.
Yeah.
That's fire. I like that a lot. I didn't think about that. But that's hard.
Fire takes. I got fire takes for days. But what do you think? Because you actually know about mental health, and I'm just kind of spitballing.
Well, but it's a movie. It's a piece of art, right? So and it's only my personal opinion, of course, and forget that I'm a psychiatrist, because what I'm going to say does not represent psychiatry. I'm just a guy, right, who knows a lot about different things. So in my opinion, when I look at a piece of art and a good movie, and this is an amazing movie, and I think it already has a bunch of Oscar nominations.
Probably. It's definitely.
And it already won a gold medal in Europe.
Yeah.
On the festival that usually does not award commercially successful movies.
No. Yeah,
right. So it's a masterpiece. As any masterpiece, it has a lot of different things going on all at the same time, and every person finds something that attracts them or disgusts them. And if something is really good, one of the features is that some people really hate it, right?
Yeah, it's
like,
funny,
for example, there is a very famous piece of art created by one of the famous Russian avant-garde artists, which is basically a large painting which is just black. It's just dark, nothing else, black. And you look at it and you can come up with whatever the hell you want. So this is an ultimate example, and it's very expensive, and people look at it from different perspectives. So in this movie, to me, a lot of things happened. One of them was that I was amazed by and inspired by an actor being so skillful. And I know him because, he played in many different movies. We've seen him in...
What movies? I have never seen him before.
Well, he played an emperor in the most recent Spartacus movie.
Never saw it.
Yeah, I didn't see that one either. Was he in The Master? No.
I don't know, but he played in many movies.
No,
he's very well known. Yeah.
So I think one of the things I liked about it, that I didn't know who he was, so it was like I don't have to associate him to another film. I think that's hard.
Well, if you check him on the internet,
been in a lot of movies.
Yeah, he did a lot of movies. He's a famous actor.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't remember any of them.
Another thing that is amazing to me that he is one of the two only famous movie actors who had surgery on his upper lip, right?
I was wondering if that was like for the role or not. Yeah, I kept looking at his
No.
lip the whole
In
time.
every
Just
single
like,
movie. No, he had this issue as a child, and it was corrected. And there was another very famous American actor who played in the movie that in the Russian version was called The Centurions. So he played a police officer. That we are talking about, like, if not 50, 40 years ago. I forget. And he also was a very famous American actor, also had this same kind of defect that was corrected. Because I think it's very difficult for someone to become a famous actor if you have some kind of deficiencies, right, on your face.
He had the thing where like,
Right,
it's like
but
you could see your teeth,
right.
yeah, through
Yeah,
your
but
lip to your
with
nose,
him, you don't notice that. It's actually quite amazing. So I was inspired by just his work as an actor. You know, it's just so nice to see a super genius actor. But the whole team of people who played with him were extremely good. I mean, I know that I heard that De Niro got nominated for
Really? For
a
that?
supporting role. I personally
didn't
didn't find
either.
him. It was just your regular De Niro.
I thought that was just a way to make it commercial.
Right.
He didn't need to be that guy.
Right.
I thought that was a waste of
Right.
money.
I feel like you get to a certain point, they just put the award in your hand. You know what I mean? Hey, it's not about what you did. It's like, nah, it's Robert De Niro.
It's because the movie did so well, and then it's Robert De Niro. It's just like,
Yeah.
how do you not?
How you not gonna give him
Yeah,
an award? That would make
right.
sense.
The Joker wins Oscars. How does Robert De Niro not win an Oscar in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how it is, though.
Right.
Be like that. He earned his stripes, so I'm not complaining. You can keep it.
Oh, I love Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
When I
Every
found
time.
out he was in it, because I didn't know he was in it. When I found out I was in it, I was mad hype.
I did get hyped when I
He
saw
didn't
his
have
face.
like a great role. Like, I didn't like his role.
Right. So another thing is, because actually what happened was that I listened to a couple of famous commentators from Russia on the Russian radio, like a liberal kind of station. And they all were saying that they saw a movie and it's a masterpiece and they can clearly see what's going on in Russia in this movie. They are not stupid, so they didn't think that it was done to show Russians the way. So what's happening in Russia right now, a lot of people, especially younger people, are enraged by all the unfairness because, you know, Russia is becoming very restrictive. But what's important for me to tell people to realize that in every single country that I can think about, people don't like their government. Like whatever country you go to France, they don't like their guy. You go to Germany, they don't like their girl.
Who likes
Of course,
anybody
in
that
Great
takes your
Britain,
money?
they don't like their people, right?
It's a fact. Taxes kind of, you know,
Who
give
likes
you
anybody that takes his money?
a salty taste in your mouth. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to work back from the fact that they take so much in your paycheck.
Right.
So I feel like it's like they're starting behind like the starting line. You know what I mean? They have to like make up space
Right.
and then still make us like them. So it's a hard job.
Yeah, but also,
It's rough.
but people also have beef with their government.
Yeah, legit.
And
yeah.
you legitimate or not, it doesn't matter. I mean, who is to tell me what is legitimate
You pay
about
your
what I'm
taxes, right?
thinking? I mean, for me, everything I think is legitimate. So that was totally amazing to me. I felt that this thing with the governor or the mayor, I mean, they didn't play it out. I mean, they indicated that he is like, for example, I didn't understand actually who wrote the letter to the mother or she wrote the letter to somebody else. Remember when he finds the letter written in a very good handwriting?
Yeah.
Who wrote the letter to whom?
I'm pretty sure that the mother wrote the letter.
To an imaginary father.
To Wayne.
right?
No, to Thomas. She wrote it to Thomas Wayne because
Wayne.
when the Joker comes through the door, she tells her son about the letter. She was
Right.
like, I wrote a letter to Thomas
Right.
Wayne. So I'm pretty sure she did write the letter to him.
Right.
And if anything, I think she was leaving it there on the table like, oh, I just wrote this letter. I don't know if she was telling him to like take it out or like put it in the mailbox or
Right.
whatever. But she calls her attention to it. So I think she definitely wrote the letter.
Another thing that we keep discussing with my friends is that they begin to tell me, a psychiatrist, that you know what, it's understandable that he killed people because he had such a difficult childhood and he had severe head trauma and his life was so unfortunate and he was mentally ill. And my position is this. The action itself can be so horrible that I don't actually care what the background was because you can't go back and correct it. For example, I worked in the jail as a psychiatrist. I've seen many different things that we don't need to discuss, meaning people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I interviewed every single murderer who was admitted there because you have to make sure they're not mentally ill.
Mhm.
And one of the cases was that the guy came home and found his girlfriend in action with another guy being on top of her.
That's tough.
And he hit him with a knife 17 times in the back. Okay?
I would do the night.
I mean, I mean, can we understand that a person can get very angry and upset?
In the heat of the moment, it's really hard to think
Right,
straight.
but he still killed him. So it
That's
doesn't
too.
take
Seven
away. So
seeds a lot of times,
whatever the
listen.
motive was. Or for example, what do you do about a person who is drunk? Like for example, I saw a guy who before he killed, I think 4 people in the car accident while he was drunk, was a respectful, like well-off guy. And he was periodically getting drunk and was stopped a couple of times for drunk driving and kept doing it. So finally he killed people. And he was so upset that he got a very long sentence. But come on. I mean,
he did it multiple times.
no, he was drunk multiple times driving and was stopped and wouldn't stop drinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then finally he yet another time drove drunk and had an
somebody?
accident and killed people.
And then he was
so is it
upset
an
that
excuse that he was drunk? I mean, is it better that he was drunk and killed somebody, or is it better? I mean, what difference does it make? You understand?
I mean, it all depends on I think it all depends on the circumstances, but like generally, yeah, I don't know why would you be upset that you killed somebody
right?
because you were drunk and you're mad about it. That doesn't make any.
It doesn't make it any better, right?
No, it doesn't.
That's a really interesting point that you bring up, though. Even when you were talking about like the painting before, and it could just be a black painting on the wall, like the famous black painting you're talking about in Russia, and people like will look at it from
everywhere in the world it's famous. Yeah,
yeah, and you look at it from different angles, try to derive meaning. But at the end of the day, we can't argue if it's just a black painting on the wall. It's like how you were saying a second ago, where it's just it's murder. Like the Joker did murder people.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Like it's disgusting no matter what, whether you know he's mentally ill or not. But it's funny because that's why I kind of feel like it's a more so like the way I think it was a message about society as a whole, because it's up to like everybody around you to derive meaning out of what you're doing.
Right.
So it's like if we send boys who are 17, 18 years old to war and they kill 20 people and come back home, nobody calls them murderers. Really, they just went to somebody else's home and just shot them where they were. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like the context of everything is super crucial. You know what I mean? Like, or is it more justified when you find, you know, a dude on top of your baby mom is like, I don't know what I would do with this situation.
I give you one. I give you something better. That's crazy, right? You see how he said, you know, he was in jail and he came out, and then, you know, dude's killing his baby moms, and I'm just like, I'd have stabbed him 19 times, right? If you just had said, would you feel bad if somebody got stabbed 17 times? We'll all be like, oh, that's horrible. As soon as we hear, oh, well, the wife was cheating, it's just like, oh, okay. Same thing with and then the same thing in the movie with the Joker. Well, the crazy thing is the society. So the Joker killed 3 people that was picking on him, right?
Right.
So if we said, if you killed 3 people in self-defense, we would have all said, oh, that's self-defense, it's okay, right? But in the movie, society painted the picture that he killed 3 up and coming young men, working men that a poor person wanted what they had. It like that was a picture it painted and villainized him.
No, that is actually, you know what? I think that they kind of played a situation which happens many times.
Absolutely.
I wasn't here in New York City, and you weren't even born, but there was a case on New York subway when people started picking on a very small little guy, and he got out a gun and shot them, killed them, and they were teenagers, actually. It happens all the time when, for example, I can tell you that right now in Russia, they are dealing with the situation when last week, a soldier shot 8 people in his formation. And people couldn't understand why he did it. And then it turned out that they wanted to rape him. And they told him in advance, like his lieutenant told him that, look, tonight, after you, like the day is finished, it's your turn.
That's crazy.
Right?
Are there no girls in the Russian military, or
no, but in this particular case, it's not about the girls.
That's how they get. That's how they get down in all the military.
Men rape men in jails or prisons or in the army,
or gangs,
not for sex. It's not about sex. It's about
music industry
dominating you, right? Putting you down.
That's what you're saying. It's about, right?
Right.
It's about dominance. Yeah. I was just having this conversation with my cousin about she heard that people do it in fraternities
Right.
to make you feel powerful and control,
Or powerless.
or to make you feel powerless and make me feel in control. Yeah, I'm going to rape you. I
Right.
may not be gay, but I'm gonna rape you just for a power exchange.
Right.
That's in that show with the House of Cards. Has anybody ever seen that?
Yeah, it's a famous show. Yeah.
Yeah, House of Cards. He says that. Well, it's not. He doesn't say it with the whole gay thing, but he says that he has sex with prostitutes to make him feel powerful.
So my point is that this guy shot these 8 people because it was the only way for him to make sure that they're not going to rape him, because it would be a gang rape, right? And if you tell them you guys are gay, they're not gay. They're doing it
That's crazy.
to put him down, right? To basically to offend him, to make him feel inferior, whatever.
Is that like hate? Was that the rite of passage of the formation? Like,
No,
no,
but
they
that's
just
what they do.
decided
No,
it
no,
was
no.
him.
No. But
why was it him?
No. It's not only him. It was his turn tonight, right? They've
Yeah,
done
they
it.
do it to everybody.
Yeah,
It seems like. Yeah.
To everybody they can. To some people they can because they fight back, but they fight, right? They don't shoot them, they fight them.
Russia's just sounding different.
No,
for
it's not.
every day.
Well, things like that happen in every single.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. It happens in a lot of. It
Right.
happens a lot in a lot of things that we're all close to.
So of course, from this point of view, the Joker killing 3 drunk bastards who were about to rape a woman, right?
Oh right, I forgot about
Remember,
that too.
they started picking on a girl.
Yeah. And he
So-
started laughing, right?
Yeah.
He has,
No.
He
He
has
had
the
this
quick
nervous.
condition, yeah.
He
Yeah,
had
I
a
know.
tick when he all of a sudden has a discharge of laughing.
Sorry, it's a quick question. Does anybody know what set that off?
The tick.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Dr.
Well,
Fauci-
he had a head trauma, but
No. So what was the trigger? Like, why did he just start laughing? Like, I never could get. Was it because he felt uncomfortable? Because
yeah. No. It's just a symptom that gets triggered.
What was
by-
the trigger?
by-
I'm asking. What was the trigger? If
Anything that makes him feel uncomfortable.
Oh, okay.
Right. But or make him. I mean, he's just
You just seem to be laughing.
he's
the
not
whole time.
well. Yeah, not well. And also this crazy dances that he did, right?
I like the dance.
I loved it.
I-
That was my
I thought it
favorite
was
part of the
very
day.
powerful.
It just makes you. It's just like, whoa, this guy is crazy. He just said pop, pop, and he ran like he was full sprinting or weird running. You saw him being like in a traumatic spray, went to the bathroom, just started dancing.
Right.
This is like, oh man, this guy's crazy. I love that, man. That was
So
great.
it's an amazing movie.
Shout out to whoever directed that. That was fun. That was great.
It's very, very.
So what else do we have to say?
Well, I feel like as a mental health professional, like what
Right.
is your actual stance? Because there was also like very much like the society, like I feel like it was also like a societal critique on just like healthcare in general. Because the fact that the social program,
True.
he's
yeah,
going to a
yeah.
social worker who's clearly like has went way too many cases, and we've talked about on this show before how there's a
No,
lack
that's
of
horrible. I mean,
mental
the
health
situation,
professionals,
actually,
yeah?
I have to tell you that the situation in the United States is kind of okay-ish compared to many other countries where there is no mental health at all. But, for example, let me ask you, and if I asked you already and you know the answer, too bad. Can you guess how many psychiatrists do we have in the United States?
I remember.
Oh, so I have to guess.
What about you?
Can I get a hint? I want to get this right.
No. Just say whatever you think.
In the United States,
Yes.
How many psychiatrists?
Yes.
It's lower than you think. That's your hit.
Hold on.
No,
I'm gonna smoke this. Watch this. Hold on. I'm gonna do some good math. Hold on. I tried to look up a psychiatrist. Is it a psychiatrist or a therapist? Is it
No,
the same thing?
psychiatrist, MD,
They're different.
psychiatrist who prescribes medication.
See, that's why I would think it's higher because you think it's the same, but it's
No,
different.
but say the number. It doesn't matter.
I got you. Okay, so I'm gonna do like there's 4 in Long Island, right? So we're gonna times that by county. I'm gonna say, I don't know. I'm gonna say 300.
300
country?
psychiatrists? Or 300,000 or 300 what?
Or 300 period.
In the United States.
I don't know. I just said 300.
There are like 300 million people in America.
All right.
We have 50
100
million mentally ill people
100,000.
diagnosed. Okay, 100,000. So the actual number is 29,500.
What? You said
Yeah.
that's not bad.
I mean, it could have been like I would say like 500,000 and 300 million people.
Right.
I
So
knew it was low. I didn't mean 300.
so-
period. I didn't mean that.
1/3.
300.
I did say
I
300.
think Dr. Shaw's like a leprechaun. Like you would, he's very rare.
Said
300.
300. I looked at me
He said it was the
300,000.
last one.
He said 300,000. I'm just like,
Everybody has to come and see me.
maybe.
So out of this 29,000, 1/3 are 53 years or older. We have statistically around 50 million people who are diagnosed and are on medication with emotional issues. That includes anxiety, ADHD, right? It's presumed that it's less than a half of people who really require help because others just never go, right? So we are severely underserviced. Another thing is that periodically somebody comes and decides to let mentally ill people go. So the most famous case in the American history was a speech given by President Kennedy, which was called Mental Illness and Mental Retardation, that he gave in the 60s, in which he said that we have to free people from mental institutions and treat them in small, nice, local institutions. I mean, there was a movement, right? There was a book and a movie, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which you probably heard about, where young Jack Nicholson played and became famous.
He's really good at playing crazy people, Jack Nicholson. I'm realizing this.
Yeah.
friend of his.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
but
he
in
put-
that movie, he
yeah.
actually wasn't crazy. He was a normal guy who wound up in the mental
There's been a couple of crazy.
And then,
movies.
you know, a lot of people ran around and basically spoke for the freedom of mentally ill. At that time, they had very few medications, probably just stories and nothing else, but already thought that they cured everybody. So what they did, they let people out of mental institutions, but they never provided them the other part.
Mm-hmm.
So currently, a lot of severely mentally ill, including schizophrenics, wind up in jails and prisons. And hence, I was working in a jail because a lot of people wind up there. Like, for example, I remember one case, the guy was standing in the middle of a playground in New York City at 2 a.m. in the morning, having a very heated conversation with Jesus and like screaming at Jesus. So people reported him and he got arrested. And while they were arresting him,
That's a crime.
he ripped
Stop,
apart.
I do it all the time.
No, he ripped apart a Bible. No, he was disturbing the quiet, peace and quiet. And very frequently, while he was in jail, all of a sudden he would, because they would give people, Bibles, and he would rip up the Bible, he would destroy the Bible because he had arguments with Jesus. They didn't see things the same way. Or just plain severely mentally ill who don't take medications frequently wind up in jails, which is not a good place for them to be, to begin with, because
Right.
they wind up isolated, right? And still can refuse taking medication. While if they are in the mental institution, people are supposed to work with them. Like, for example, Joker in the movie went to a social worker for psychotherapy, and then all of a sudden she tells him the program has been closed. That's actually very accurate. So I feel very bad about severely mentally ill because they are not getting the help they need. And it's a very complex issue. In my opinion, every single government on earth has been skipping this issue. Mental illness is not only on the top. It's like not on the list. Right? Coming from the Soviet Union, I immigrated in 1988, where the Soviet Union was still the Soviet Union. If somebody was a schizophrenic, the best country to be, because first hospitalization is for a few months, where they evaluate them. They participate in certain activities. Celebrities come and perform in front of them. And then once they're stable, they are released into the community. But there is a day treatment program, which is called differently there, where you go every single day. And again, you spend almost the whole day there. It was possible because communists wanted to suppress the opposition, so sometimes they would name somebody crazy just to isolate them.
Yep.
But together with that, a lot of people who are severely mentally ill were getting the help they needed. How it is today, I have no idea. I left many years ago, 30 years ago, so I don't know. So I'm very concerned, as you know, that we have a growing number of people with emotional issues. Like when you walk in New York, almost everybody is mentally ill, if you ask me, especially on subway. I mean, I'm kind of joking, but the number of millennials with anxiety disorders, attention deficit disorder, mood disorders is very large.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How many of you do you think, or do you think, or no? Is there no? I'm trying to find the right way to ask the question. What's the percentage of people that you see that come to you that are this mentally disabled and aren't, like but claim to be?
Well, for example, I came from work today, right? So my very less patient came because somebody told them, their therapist told them that they probably have a slight depression. So I did the test, severely depressed. Wasn't even aware of that. But when we started talking, clearly severely depressed. Or my first patient today, new patient, is a younger, extremely educated woman, graduated Ivy League, came thinking that she has ADHD, right? And when you talk to her, there are so many different things going on. ADHD is not even on the list. Severe anxiety, at least.
And
right?
she didn't know.
No. Like so what needs to happen if somebody is experiencing pain, for example, they go to see a doctor to figure out what is causing the pain. Mm-hmm. When somebody is emotionally uncomfortable, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to go at least and talk to somebody who is a professional so they can help you to figure out what's going on. And then what really pisses me off, and I talk about it all the time, is that people come and they already, in quotes, know what they need and what they have. And I keep telling them that I have a spiritual leader and his name is Jackie Chan. And they start laughing. And I tell them that Jackie Chan played in a movie where he plays an Wushu master, martial arts, who winds up meeting a teenager from the United States who like by a malfunction of a time machine lands in the medieval ages. And this teenager comes to him and says, you know what, I want to study with you because I spoke to master such and such, and I have to do the front kick and the back kick and the high kick and the low kick. And he's holding a cup, and Jackie Chan's character is pouring the tea, and tea begins to pour over and scolds him and says, what are you doing? He says, I'm teaching you something, says Jackie Chan's character. And then he goes to say, if your cup is full, it has no room for more water. It's my favorite phrase right now. So, meaning if you already know what you need, there's nothing I can tell you. Mm-hmm. And I can't even begin to tell you how many people come to me and their cup is full. So some of them, when I tell them that, get it, and some of them leave. Or for example, infrequently, I get to see people in the initial stages of schizophrenia who think they are depressed, and they come with their relatives, and the relatives are afraid to say what they think because it's scary. Like, can you imagine that you have a brother or a sister, or you have a child, and all of a sudden somebody tells you, know what, they have schizophrenia. It's almost like saying they have cancer. It's terrible, right? But
so you would say that happens more than somebody coming there saying I'm depressed and they're really not depressed?
Yeah, it's very rare when people come to me and say I'm depressed and they're not depressed. Mm. It's what happens relatively frequently, but not that much, when people come to me thinking that I'm going to give them a drug they're looking for, or they think that I'm going to give them a piece of paper that says that they're entitled to whatever the hell they need. And I usually tell them, look, first let's see what's really going on, and it pisses them off. They leave, like, I just lost half a day coming to you, and I'll tell them, no, you came thinking that you have an issue, but you don't, right? But an enormous number of people have emotional issues and don't get help. And I'm not saying everybody has to be on medication. Psychotherapy, maybe. Mm-hmm. Right?
So what about like if somebody goes to the doctor with a cold, right?
Right.
They didn't need to go to the doctor because it's just a cold.
Right.
How many of those patients do you get? Where they come to you and they're sick, but they didn't need to come to you. They're depressed, but they didn't need to come to you.
Very few.
So
Unfortunately, very few. Unfortunately, very unfortunately. But what happens more frequently, again, and I'll say it again, when people come thinking that they have, in quotes, anxiety, and they actually have a severe problem.
I ask these questions because in hip hop culture,
Right.
there's a lot of there's like a stigma that a lot of kids abuse mental illness as something that's trendy and that that is just a popular thing. So I was always curious about, like, is it really trendy, or a lot of people are really having mental illnesses? So that's why I asked you that question.
Well, I can tell you that actually it's both. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to get upset with me right now.
Go ahead, make the internet mad.
Right. So it's extremely obvious to people who are not from the United States, when we come to the United States, how actually abnormal a lot of people are. Like, for example, we talk about it nowadays. You can't say anything to anybody.
Nope.
Oh yeah, people get their feelings hurt a lot.
Like, they get offended immediately. Like, what? I don't even know how to talk
I'm offended already
to people
that she said
anymore.
I haven't got offended that she said that too.
No,
I'm
but
offended.
but people get offended over nothing. No, seriously.
No, yeah, it's the times we live in.
Or, for example, and it is my thing, but every time I take public transportation, mostly 99% of the time, I mean, how many crazy people can you have who wear humongous backpacks and don't take them off? Like,
Damn,
aren't there other people? Today I saw two people fight.
He hates me too, dog.
No, but today but today I saw two people fight with their backpacks because it was a crowded train, right? In the morning. There is a guy standing with a huge backpack, and then another person comes in without noticing him, and they start fighting with their backpacks because they cannot find room. Like, why don't you take it off, put it on the floor like I do?
It's just
And my backpack is actually not cheap.
The floor is dirty.
Yeah, and then some people are like, the floor is dirty. If it rained that day, that's a dub. I'm not taking off my bag because you got the wet floor. It probably has like.
My bag is expensive.
But when people talk to each other in China, in Russia, in France, in Germany, I know it for a fact, right? In Africa, they say to each other things and nobody gets offended. Like here, like I cannot even tell a person, oh, you have a nice dress. What do you mean? So I'm a woman and you are a man and you are telling me that, like, come on.
You're a woman and I'm a man.
No, like, come on. Seriously.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely feel like that is definitely a trend nowadays.
But what's the big deal? Like words, how, like, people are so sensitive that words really hurt them. Like, I appreciate it that they get hurt, but I find it.
I have a theory. I don't know how valid this theory is, but I think in the world of social media, a lot of people just kind of want to be trending and like heard. So the easiest way to be heard is to be upset about something, outraged.
Find more people who are outraged about the same thing.
Yes,
right.
That's my. I don't know how true that is, but that's kind of how what I think. Kind of.
Go ahead.
But like this sensitivity, do you think it actually has a correlation to people who actually need mental help or not?
No, it's just total craziness. It's
sensitive.
Just super. It's fashionable. Like, for example, I feel like killing myself. I will agree with hip hop culture that is a trend.
Okay.
Like, I feel suicidal. I feel like hurting myself. I need to cut a lot of the stuff is actually a trend.
Okay.
But my job is to keep my patients alive, first of all, right? So in order for me to say that about somebody who comes to see me, I first have to evaluate them. Right. And I'm telling you, in my practice, I mean, it takes an effort to come to see a psychiatrist because it puts a label on you, right? Yeah. So you need to understand that people who come as far as seeing a psychiatrist, not a psychologist, they either come because they think that they can get something out of me, like a Xanax or...
medicine, okay.
Right. So no. So usually I say that on this positive note, let me tell you, but I'm not going to say it today. I'm just going to recommend to people to go and see this amazing movie if you haven't seen it yet. But we spoiled it for you royally, right? Like we already revealed all the secrets.
There was other stuff that happened. Like, nothing else happened. We spoiled it.
Wow. I thought he was gonna spoil the other stuff in the movie, but no.
Okay,
We got
so I'm very glad that
Nobody dies.
finally
Everybody does.
you got to hear. I'm very glad that you finally got to hear with Nell with his infinite wisdom.
Oh, I have a take. Actually,
Okay.
this is funny. I just realized that every villain in Batman is crazy. The Riddler, Two-Face,
Yeah.
the Penguin,
Yeah.
they're all crazy.
Aren't we all? So now you are forcing me to say it. People,
Say it.
please continue.
To keep your brains wide open.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Brainstorm 9000. If you like us, love us, or marginally tolerate us,
And definitely, if you hate us,
then go on social media and give us a review on Stitcher, iTunes, or YouTube, or wherever you listen to us.
and remember,
Keep your brains open.